The last time I had Carrie from Geno's on the podcast was 2023. Just like everything else in the wedding world, things have changed a little bit, and Geno's has made some incredible changes over the past couple years. And I wanted Carrie to join us again to share all about those. Carrie is the district manager for Geno's Formal Affair here in Lexington.
You're listening to The Wedding Whisperer with Sarah Burton of Simply Love Studio in Lexington, Kentucky.
Carrie, thank you so much for joining me again today.
Thank you for having me.
How long have you been at Geno's now?
Well, I started when I was in high school, so I have been here for 34 years.
I swear, last time I asked, it was literally like 25 years. So
I
I don't know
know.
how it got that far,
Time
but
goes real fast.
it does. And I always tell people, like, anytime I'm talking about Geno's and I tell them, I'm like, just talk to Carrie. Carrie will take care of it. I'm like, Carrie is the person I want to be when I grow up. Like, you are always so put together. You always have the best outfits. Your hair and makeup is literally perfect. And like, if you've had a bad day, it never shows. Like, when I've had a bad day, you can always tell on my face. But you are literally always the nicest and kindest person to everyone.
Well,
Um,
thank you. You're too kind.
Carrie, tell me a little bit about your history with Geno's. You said you started there in high school. Walk me through like what your journey has been with Geno's.
So when I started, I would describe myself, I was shy, very reserved, um, not one to really give my opinion much. And once I discovered that whatever I was majoring in at the time was not my thing, that I was already doing what I loved, I found myself really coming out of my shell. I enjoy working with people. And for the most part, everybody that comes in here is getting ready for something fun and happy. And so I have just kind of embraced that over the years and um, watched our business model change over time. We used to be a little narrow shotgun store that we just rented tuxes out of. And then over time, we were seeing a demand for suits, and we tried to battle that for a bit. Like, no, we're formal wear. But when that's where the demand is, we've got to kind of, recognize that. Then we transitioned into dresses because we felt like that's what was going to get the male customers in here, as us ladies kind of steer the guys. And then 5 years ago, Mack and Clay opened next door to us. And it just kind of, again, changed our business model based off of customers' demands and needs. So it's been fun to kind of ride this ride with Geno's and get to help customers dress for their events.
Um, I actually didn't realize that you only started as just tuxedos. I guess I just assumed in my mind it was like tuxedos and suits.
Yeah. So Geno opened in 1972. And when I joined in 91, he was still just doing tuxedos, just rentals. We did a few. That was when the horse industry was really exploding. And so we did I can't say we did a ton of purchase tuxedos, but mainly rental. We did offer some purchase tuxedos, but it was only tuxedos.
Wow.
So
Do
it's
you
really changed.
remember what the price was of a tuxedo rental was when you started?
I do remember that our lowest we had a range, and I remember our lowest was $59.95.
Wow.
And it's changed a lot.
It changed a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the questions I do get asked is Geno a real person? Geno is a real person here in Lexington.
He is, yes. I can't say born and raised, but he grew up in Lexington, and he is still very involved in the business. He comes to work every day. He doesn't love a vacation because he's too busy thinking about what's going on at work. But I'm telling you, there's just something to be said about a business owner that he knows front to back, from the, face to face with the customers, all the way to cleaning shoes. So he's very involved. Everybody knows that he means business, and he has high expectations because his motto is, if we don't take care of the customer, someone else will.
100%, absolutely. And
Yep.
I know, like, especially when we were trying to figure out the pandemic in 2020, you were still working, you were still doing, not necessarily with open store hours, but in the warehouse. I had several grooms that were like, "Yeah, Gino was the one that answered the phone," or "He was the one that got my tux," or "He met me at the door." So he
Yep.
is very much involved day to day. And
Yes.
speaking of the warehouse, everything that you all rent at Geno's is already in a warehouse here in Lexington.
Yes. So a lot of locals don't have any idea the capacity of our business.
Absolutely.
We have our retail stores. We have two of our retail stores, but we wholesale all over the country. So we have a distribution center on Mercer Road off of Leestown Road. And we have shipping and receiving. We have our own dry cleaning capabilities. And we house a plethora of tuxedos, suits, accessories, shirts, and shoes.
I was honestly blown away. Like, I knew that you did all of that, but the first time I saw the factory, like, it was honestly mind blowing to see how big the operation was. And so
Yeah.
when I tell people, I'm like, they literally have a warehouse full of everything. So something in there is going to fit you.
Yes. That's why I always have confidence because I can't imagine a lot of our competitors. I mean, they'll even send their customers to us to remedy some of their last minute problems just
Oh,
because
wow.
we do have the capability to do that.
So let's start with the basics. A lot of times, if a groom has gone to prom, he most likely got a tuxedo. But if they didn't go to prom, or maybe they didn't wear a tux, I'm from the country, so not everybody wore a tux to our
Mhm.
prom. If someone does not know the difference between a tuxedo and a suit, can you explain the difference?
Absolutely. So a lot of times, especially with the trends of barns and outdoor spaces, people don't really know like what they're supposed to wear. So a tuxedo, the lapel, the collar of it is satin. So it's going to have that higher sheen than the rest of the fabric of the garment. It has a satin button. Sometimes it'll have a satin stripe down the leg. Those are the characteristics of a formal wear. A suit, the lapel of it matches the rest of the body of the garment. So it will have maybe an acrylic button or like tortoise type button, um, and there is no satin stripe. Typically, with a tuxedo, you would wear like a patent leather finish shoe, um, and with a suit, you wear more of a matte finish. So it has less luster to it. Um,
Can tuxedos be any color besides black, or are they always black?
nope, they can be black is going to be the most formal, but we do offer tuxedos in navy. We offer them in gray. So there are in some really high fashion colors as well, and even in white for like that dinner jacket look. So, yes, so not necessarily just in black. What I was going to say in reference to that barn wedding, there are fancy barns. And so
Yeah.
there are sometimes people think, it's in a barn, so I don't know if I should wear a tuxedo. I ask, can I see the bride's dress? Can I see tell me what the bridesmaids are wearing? Because I really dislike when they dress the groom and groomsmen less than the bride and her girls because they think he's supposed to be in a suit. I always like to see their whole story, is how I phrase it. I want to see it all so that I can help them dress appropriately.
Barns, like you said, there are some that are just absolutely incredible, and I think that is I'm really glad that you asked to see pictures if you're not familiar, because it does hurt my soul a little bit whenever the bride is just decked out and the groom doesn't match or doesn't want to match. I'm like, "It's
Yeah,
literally one day. Wear it for your pictures, wear it for a couple hours, you'll be fine."
absolutely. Yep.
And then you also not only do you rent suits and tuxes, a groom can also buy a suit or a tux.
Yes, we are launching a program, which we've always had the ability to sell a suit or a tuxedo and rent a suit or a tuxedo. But we are launching a new program that it has a there's a tuxedo, there's a black suit, navy, tan, gray that people can rent if they want to, if there's 12 people in the wedding party and like two guys are like, I need a suit. So then they can buy theirs if everybody else would like to rent theirs, and their fabrics are going to match. Everything's going to be the same. So that's been where we've kind of been, had some roadblocks in the past, is where sometimes our gray or our tan is just a little off. Sometimes the bride and groom are okay with it, but we typically don't advise them to do that because the flash of a camera is going to pick that up. So we're really excited to have that new program come in.
How will that work?
We will have them on display and we will have some in stock. We'll have a large amount in stock. I shouldn't say some. And they will range in many sizes. They are not paired. A lot of times when you buy a suit, it's paired already with the pants. And then so you've got to make those pants work to make that jacket work. And so they're going to be sold as separates. So that's really handy for somebody that isn't the typical off the rack build, that they're going to need to, a larger size pant to go with that smaller size jacket. We will explain that to the bride and groom, and then we will ask them to, convey that to their guys, that they need to let us know at measurement if they would like to rent or to buy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What is kind of the difference in price wise, renting versus buying? Obviously, a suit and a tux are going to be a little different, but is there a big difference in renting versus buying if someone does need to have one in their closet?
They're gonna vary. And I'm given this price um or estimate is gonna be the coat, the pants, shirt, vest and tie if they would like, and shoes. So that's a good range for rental right now, is around 230 to 260 for our packages. Now some people just choose to rent pieces, and so that price will adjust. If they just need a coat or just need certain items, that we will break it down kind of a la carte. As far as the purchasing, depending on which package they go with or collection they go with, it's going to range from $3.99 and up. Now, when I quote that, that's for the coat and the pants. They'll have the ability to add a shirt, add a tie, and shoes and belts and things like that. But that will be for the coat and pant.
For the rental included in the 230 to 260, is that for suits and tuxes?
Correct.
What is the most popular color that you are seeing right now in suits for fall of 2025 going into 2026?
I wish that I could give you a really fun color, but the answer truly is black. We
Okay.
are seeing a huge trend and this has been going on. We've seen it escalating for the past couple of years in black tuxedos. So people are very classic, very traditional. Now, we do a lot of navy, we do a lot of gray. Right now, we're in, fall weddings, and we're doing a lot of tans and browns, hunter greens, those colors, but nothing beats right now black.
Whenever a groom comes in to your showroom to look at suits or tuxes, what is kind of the process for that? Do they schedule an appointment ahead of time? Do they just show up? Is there a best time to do that?
The answer to that is both. We allow walk ins and we have tons of walk ins. And we do have a great appointment system that we've implemented. You can go to gfatux.com, our website, and you can click on book appointments, and you can select the store location you'd like to go to, the time you would like to come, and what your reason for your visit is. We really like appointments for when a wedding is going to be registered, something that is going to take more time. For someone that is a groomsman that just needs to get his measurements, he's attending part of the wedding, we don't need an appointment for that. But for the people that are coming in, and we've got a lot of people bringing their whole party in at one time to register the wedding, get them all measured. We do love an appointment for that, just so we can make sure we're staffed appropriately.
Talking about your locations, You have a location on Southland Drive that has been there for years, which just added Mack and Clay. You just did renovations and moved Mack and Clay, the custom option, in with you. And then you just built a brand new location in Hamburg that opened last year.
Yes, in June of 24. Uh-huh.
Share a little bit about the Hamburg location for some, maybe if someone hasn't been out there yet.
Our owners, Geno and Matt, had done a lot of research about what we needed for this new model that we were introducing our community to. We felt a freestanding building for our second location rather than being part of like a shopping center or mall situation is to give unique experiences. We like the privacy of that. We like our own parking lot. We like to be able to provide our own hours. We hold events over there. It's a wide open space. It's really beautiful. We can open up on a mild day. We can open up all the doors and make it wide open and just have some treats if you want, have a ball game on all the TVs and really create an environment for anyone that's shopping for regular attire, jeans and hoodies, all the way to custom suits or tuxedos. That's been a really fun building process from ground up. Has been a lot of fun to build that and create that space.
I know like that location has the polo shirts, the khakis, the jeans, the more high end that a groom could get for rehearsal dinners or honeymoon, just where they're going to be in all those extra pictures. We just want to make sure that they look good in all of those photos
Absolutely.
as
We
well.
are, when they come in, I mean, we've got a lot of natural walk in traffic for the Geno's customers that are just used to Geno's as a landmark. So that is nice because it's carrying over to build that Mac and Clay customer. It's great because we tell him we can dress him for his engagement photos coming up,
Yeah.
then their rehearsal dinner, then their honeymoon. So all the way to swim trunks and loafers, um, sweaters in the winter and jeans. We can really create some really fun looks. And I've got to say, it's felt kind of like a new job to me because, I love tying a bow tie on a man. Don't get me wrong, and putting his fancy clothing on him. But I love building a look for him for any other special event. It's been fun.
And does the Southland Drive location have all of those fun things too?
Yes. So
Okay.
Southland underwent a renovation in September of 24 and moved Mac and Clay in with the existing Geno store. So we used to have clothing for ladies, and that all went away, and we're all guys now. And that's been fun too, because what I've learned, I've sold dresses for years along with helping all the guys, and girls like to shop a lot and don't necessarily make decisions quickly. Guys like to come in and they love from my perspective, they love a female's opinion. So we have guys that work here too, but I feel like speaking on my own behalf, they like a lady's opinion. And I have found that that's been a really great transition because I get to do both.
When the guy books an appointment on the website to come in for a suit or tux rental or to even just learn about them, kind of what is the process once they get there? You ask them the date, you ask them the venue, what they're looking for. What happens after that?
We'll walk them through. Are you looking for tuxedos or suits? Are you looking to purchase or rent? Those are the first questions we ask. Sometimes, I don't know. They don't know either of those questions. So those are kind of my favorite because that means I get to help them, build this whole thing. So I explain it. And when I say all of us, all of our salespeople, we explain the difference and we get to walk them through all of our displays, which we've really simplified because I feel like at one point we may have had too much on display. We've simplified that and we may have some things on hangers, but we have the most demanded products on displays. We'll show them different lapel shapes and single breasted versus double breasted and all of the things. And we just help them decide whether are you looking for a suit or a tuxedo? And, does purchasing make sense over renting? And we do offer both for a reason because there is a demand for both. Then we help them do that. Once we've determined all of that, we will get their measurements. And what we have found is we love to measure them, and we have products that we try on to help ensure a better fit at pickup. So that has eliminated a lot of problems when it's crunch time and weddings in 2 or 3 days. And no one has to be in a panic because, oh my gosh, my pants don't button or they're way too short. So, but if we didn't get the opportunity to measure those guys, there are some situations where groomsmen are out of town. So that sometimes people misunderstand. It's like, we can't go to Geno's because they're only in Lexington. And so that is not the case because we will just let the bride and groom know at the time that they're registering their wedding that those guys need to go to a reputable menswear or tuxedo store to get measured. They can call or email them in to us, and we will have it waiting for them when they get in town. So with that warehouse here in Lexington, if there are any issues, we can resolve that in a moment's notice.
Do you still offer the groom's preview?
We do. That is a huge thing because a lot of people are very visual people. I know I am. So I like to see and touch and feel, and especially how important fit has become with all of us and how things feel, and make sure it's not itchy or, those types of things. Then that gives them the opportunity to figure that out a month or two before the wedding. So yes, we love to schedule a groom's preview so we can get it on him. He knows how he's going to look. We'll change up the tie so he knows, or the accessories to see how his guys are going to look or the fathers are going to look. So that is a free service we offer that I highly encourage people to take advantage of.
So basically, he comes in, he picks out what he thinks he wants, you do the measurements, and then he'll come back a different day for the preview?
Yes. So because we don't house everything in our stores, yes, we will schedule that a day that's convenient. So, sometimes if they've come from out of town and it's early enough in the day, we have a driver from our warehouse, and I'll be like, if y'all want to go have lunch, we can have that over here in a little while. So we will do everything we can to, make that convenient for them. But if they're local people, we always ask, is there a day that you guys want to come back and we can, allow enough time, and maybe they could have, sometimes brides and grooms would like their parents or, some of the groomsmen to see that. So they'll schedule, and make a day of it. So that's something that we really like to do.
I know with bridesmaids now, a lot of times the bride will pick out a color that the bridesmaids are going to wear, and then they're like, just pick the best fit for you in this color.
Mhm.
If the guys are all doing tuxedos, can they pick out the best fit for them? Or does every guy in the wedding party have to wear like the certain fit?
So I have a couple answers to that. So if it's black, we probably can accommodate that. But what we have found is the manufacturers in our industry have done a great job of building the sizing specs in a way that, because trim fit is what people love. That's, but if a customer is not so trim, then as the size increases, then the specs of that changes so that it becomes less trim. Their jacket's still going to say trim fit, just like everybody else's. And so, but that's why we like to do that try on process, because sometimes, certain styles that we carry may still not be right. We can make adjustments, and we will, because if our name is on it, we want to make sure that if these people are tagging us in their pictures, we want to make sure that they look perfect.
If a groomsman feels like he needs to do a preview, is that an option? Or do you just kind of work on that whenever it comes in and it needs to be fixed?
It depends on the time of year. If we have
Okay.
availability, we're happy to. But Generally, with that, the try on items we have, most people are perfectly content with that because they're trying it on and they're going to feel how it's going to be when they pick it up. And that usually answers their questions and makes them feel more confident for pickup.
You mentioned like groomsmen being out of town. I know you said that they send in their measurements ahead of time. What is the process for when they get into town? Do they try it on in the store? Does somebody bring it to them?
We love to have every single person try on our store in a perfect world. Sometimes flights get delayed and this one can't pick up. It's not unheard of for the groom to pick up or someone to pick up the whole party. And at rehearsal, everybody may try on and they are just here first thing Saturday morning saying, I need an inch more on my pant length or something like that. Luckily, with our warehouse right here, we can do any of that really quickly and there's no need for any sort of panic. But ideally, if they come in town Thursday or Friday for a Saturday wedding, then everybody receives a text message from us to let them know when their order has arrived. Once they receive that text, that guys just trickle in all week long and we get everybody taken care of as the week progresses. That way everybody's dealt with hopefully Thursday or Friday. So there's no issues with that on wedding day.
And you mentioned maybe mom and dad coming for the preview. Who typically comes with the groom for the initial first visit? Does the bride come? Does mom come? Does the groom come by himself? What do you see most for that?
Typically, it's the bride and the groom. Next, I would say the bride and or groom's parents will come with them.
Okay.
Sometimes it's the groom and a couple of his guys. Usually that's going to require a phone call to the bride. So thank goodness for FaceTime
Yep.
because sometimes we have to have a little chit chat to make sure we're all on the same page.
And by sometimes, do you mean like all the time?
Yes, every single
Yeah.
time.
As far as who else is going to wear the same suit or tux besides the groom and groomsmen, I know a lot of times dads will also want to match ushers. Who else is there that typically might match the groom and the groomsmen?
We've been doing a lot of grandfathers.
Oh,
So a
okay.
lot of grandfathers, and we have been doing, of course, ring bearers. So the little guys. Um, I I love the experience that I have because I can explain to the bride and groom when they come in, and this is something that I've conveyed to our staff as we've um, hired people on board. When we're helping them style the groom for his neckwear and accessories, I like for him to coordinate with the bride. And because I always say that's the picture that's hanging in your home is the portrait of the two of you. If the groomsmen are wearing green ties, but the groom shows up in this green tie in the picture with his bride in her white gown, the green tie doesn't make sense anymore. So I like to explain that. So we will try to accessorize the wedding party based on their role. And then dads may be in a more monochromatic color, don't necessarily match the groomsmen. So these are just things that we like to suggest based off of their roles.
There are a lot of times too, whenever I'm meeting with couples, that I will mention these are going to be the canvases that you have on your wall. This is why we focus on this. And, I'll have couples be like, I'm having 8 groomsmen and 4 bridesmaids or something like that. And I'm like, most likely you're not going to put that on your wall.
Nope.
And if you do, it's fine. But
Yeah.
I do try to reference the bride and groom photos, the couple photos, maybe the family photos. This is what's going to be on your wall. This is what we want to really focus
Mhm.
on. Wedding week, whenever they come in to get their suit or tux, ideally they try it on in store and ideally it fits. If it doesn't, like you said, you can get it fixed fairly quick. What all did they get in their bag of stuff with a
Okay.
rental?
They are going to receive a coat. This is if everybody's doing a traditional look. So it may be a suit or a tuxedo jacket, pants, a shirt, vest or cummerbund. Trending has been neither. But so if there's not a vest or cummerbund, that's how it was ordered. And bow tie or long necktie, studs and cufflinks, and shoes. So studs and cufflinks are the little buttons that go in the shirt to dress the shirt up if it's a formal tuxedo look. So those are the
I will
pieces.
say that one of the weddings that I did many years ago, I had no idea what the studs were. Everybody has them out, and I'm like, I don't know. Uh, and that's one of the things. Like I had a meeting with a bride today, and she was talking about the difference in a month of coordinators and their pricing. And I'm like, she's been doing it a couple of years now. This coordinator has been doing it for years now. And that's a very good example. That was still when I was newer. I had no idea what those were. That was before I knew you, and I could text you and be like, "What is this bag of stuff?"
Right.
Nobody knew, so nobody wore them that day.
Yep.
You get a little bag of studs. Essentially, they go in your buttons to make it
That's right.
dressier. Yeah.
That's right.
And at one point, I may still have it on my blog. I had done a blog about how to tie a bow tie. And that
Mhm.
was my most searched blog at one point, and had
Yes.
a video and like step by step
Yep.
instruction.
Yep. I always say we sell lessons. Lessons come free when you buy a bow tie.
That's fantastic. Are you still seeing pocket squares in it?
Yeah. Now, from the florist side, there's
Mhm.
the new look with the I don't know what you call it, but that has been kind of taking the place. It's the insert with the flowers. It's kind of like
I'm
a
obsessed with it. Yes. Yeah.
yes, and they're really cool. So if somebody is saying that they have that, I'm like, okay, you don't need the pocket square, obviously, but yes, that is something that sometimes it just adds a little pop of color. And we will fold those for them just to show them how that needs to happen. And there's great YouTubes for that too.
A boutonniere always goes on the left side. There is a little hole right there, although I was never actually able to use the hole. Like it never made sense to me based on like the buttons I had from the florist.
So the whole so this is something that I had to learn as well
Okay.
many years ago, but the hole is not there. I thought you were like supposed to stick the stem through. I didn't know what you were supposed to do, but it's really just for the straight pin. So you're not damaging the lapel. So the straight pin for the boutonniere goes through the stitching. There you go.
I have so many questions. I'm gonna have to YouTube that now.
Okay.
And then one of the things, the tips that I learned from you at some point that I tell every single groom that I have is to get 2 shirts for the wedding day. Tell me why you tell everybody that.
It gets hot in Kentucky. And so it is really nice for the groom and we are kind of flexible with this if dad also needs it. I mean, we just need them to tell us. It's not something that we like throw out there like are you going to need 2 shirts? But if they ask us for it, we will definitely provide that. It's just a nice thing to have changed. There's so many pictures sometimes leading up to the ceremony that right before ceremony time, it's nice to change to have a fresh shirt, or shortly after ceremony to have a fresh shirt to start the second part of your evening. So it's just nice for the people that are heavy sweaters.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I will say the hottest wedding that I ever did, it was 103 that day, and it was the last weekend in June. It was as miserable as it sounds, like our sound system overheated and everything.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, and especially when the guys are up there in their suits, the bride made them wear their suits. She did not care. They got to take the jackets off after, but yeah, they were just dripping. So, and especially, if you're not doing a first look and you're having an outdoor ceremony, you want to have a fresh shirt for photos, or if you're doing the first look, a fresh shirt for ceremony. It's just always good to have. But I do like you mentioning the dad because dads are just as sweaty and nervous sometimes doing the first looks and stuff too. So,
Exactly. And they've been dressed just as long as the groom a lot of times. So it is handy to have that.
and I feel like I text you and ask you the same question all the time because for the life of me, I cannot remember it. Do you know what it's going to be?
I don't think I do.
Okay. About what tuxes you carry for women.
Oh, yes. Well, I probably have a different answer this time for
Oh, okay.
yeah. So we do have rental. We do have a classic black. I say classic. It's got a little texture to the lapel. It's got like knit pants with it for someone that wants a more fitted look. Now we will rent any tuxedo style we have to, male or female. But So now that we've introduced customs to our program, I've done a few customs, a handful actually, for females because they want it to fit a certain way.
Absolutely.
And they, want a certain fabric and they don't want it to be kind of the boxy fit that a man's suit is going to offer that we have in our regular line of rental products. I've had tons of fun with that because we've got gobs of patterns and fabrics to pick from. At pickup, they are elated because it fits right. That would be where I would steer females if they have more time than the quick rental that we may have to offer them.
For a rental for a female fitted tux, what would that be?
That's going to be around 200. And as far as styling that one, we don't have female cut shirts. So I like to put my little twist of fashion on that. And I like to suggest different things. And it may be something that we don't carry because where we just have men's clothing. Sometimes they may want just a little, satiny top or, something like that. I love to give advice of how I think they could make it their own for styling.
I'm not even sure what they're called or what the proper term is. When a female is a groomsman,
Mhm.
is there a normal way that they dress that the groom wants them to dress or the bride wants them to dress to be a part of the wedding party on the groom's side to match? Or what do you
I,
recommend for
I
that?
think this is really on an individual basis, just because sometimes we will have wedding couples that if the bride has a male that she wants on her side, then he's going to wear something that kind of just coordinates with the girls, or he may wear the same thing that the guys are wearing. The same situation for if a female is on the groom's side. She may wear a black dress if they're wearing black tuxes or suits, or she may wear the same thing that the guys are wearing, and we just make it as good of a fit as she's asking for.
Just case by case, really.
Yep.
You mentioned having the custom for the females now. I did a whole podcast with Matt from Mack and Clay, and Matt is Geno's son. So Matt grew up in the menswear world, knows all the things. I did a whole podcast with him, and probably the shortest podcast I've done. I was like, we got to get straight to this. We got to get to the point. I think it was literally like 15 minutes. I was like, perfect, Matt. That's all we need. Thank you very much. Talking about the female side, what price ranges would you say that if a female wanted to have a custom suit done, would you expect her to pay or recommend budgeting for that?
So that's something that we like to, and this is for guys and gals. When they come in and we are looking at customs, we like to know, is there a budget you're trying to stay in?
Absolutely.
Really, we want to know like fabrication. If, sometimes it's like it's just a color they're trying to hit. Or sometimes it's, I want the most elite Italian fabric that you've ever seen. That is just going to be really vary. But I would say a good starting point would be like 950,
Okay.
and that's the coat and the pants. So I say it's actually more affordable than most people think to build something that's going to be made for you.
What, like, would be the time frame for a female to have that done? How long
So
should she allow?
based on the which company we go through, we've got a couple of different manufacturers we go through, and it would be 4 to 8 weeks. So if we were in a time crunch, I know which company I would go through. And if we're not, then I know that we've got two options.
Talking about time, when should a groom come in to pick out what he wants to wear? When should groomsmen do that in relation to when the wedding is?
Now we're talking for rental. Lately, I don't know. I used to answer, well, if it's during April and May, it's got to be this time. Well, it's just there's a busy season most of the year now. So it's great because weddings are happening all the time. I usually say the answer to that is about 4 to 6 weeks. Now, if somebody is getting, now that's to get measurements done. If somebody's getting married, if they're like, we're going to get married next weekend and we've got 8 guys, and I'm like, bring it on. We can do that. But ideally, they'll come in a couple of months before and they will make their selections, give us the names of all the people that we should be expecting to come in, and we will already have all the styles selected. The guys don't have to come in and know anything as far as what they're supposed to wear. We already know that.
With Geno's being men's attire, prom is a very busy season for you. I always tell couples if they're getting married, even like June, July, and August, to try, to work around prom season some. Is there a better time for them to do that certain days of the week or during the day, or does it even matter anymore?
Absolutely. I always say during April and May before 3 p.m. So
Okay.
to come in the mornings would be great. Once school's out, it turns into a whole different place in here. Weekends are very busy with both weddings and proms that time of year. Now, we will, for wedding couples, we will schedule before we open. If we open at 10 a.m., we will. I love meeting couples before we open. Or certain staff are willing to come in on a Sunday when we're closed. For people that don't love being around lots of crowds and lots of people and waiting in a line, we will make accommodations. We will schedule appointments outside of our regular business hours.
Let's talk about payment. How does payment for the groom work? How does it work for the groomsmen? Is there X amount down and then you pay the rest at pickup? What is kind of your process for that?
Yeah. So we ask for, as at the time that people are getting measured and trying their things on, we ask for a $20 deposit at least. That just locks them in to know that they are part of this wedding and we are expecting them to come back. And they'll pay their balance at the time that they pick up. A lot of people choose to just go ahead and pay at the front end at the time that they're getting measured and just get that knocked out. We give them the option if they'd like to just pay that deposit or go ahead and pay whatever amount they're comfortable with.
Do you find that, and this is something I think that maybe has changed probably since the pandemic. I feel like a lot of times the groom or maybe the groom's parents would pay for the groomsmen for their rental. Do you see that as much now, or do you see everyone paying for their own?
It's not unheard of. Sometimes the parents of one or the other, the bride or the groom, will pay a certain, maybe they'll knock it down to where everybody's paying $100,
Okay.
something like that as a gift to them. It's not unheard of. And it's actually happening quite often now where they're
Good.
contributing some. Rentals aren't necessarily inexpensive. We realize there is a cost with good fabrics, good fit, and great selection. So that we are seeing where they will help with some of the financial end of it.
When the wedding is over, whether it's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, when it comes Monday, does one person, maybe mom or somebody, bring everything all back at once? Do they typically individually bring them back? What is the best way to get them back to you?
If you do have someone that is willing and able to gather them all, and that usually means that the guys have to drop them off somewhere or change at the venue and get everything into one vehicle. If that is not inconvenient, that's ideal for us. But it doesn't matter to us. We ask for them between 10 and 6 on Monday after they're worn. As long as we have them, that just allows us time to get them cleaned and reprocessed for next weekend's weddings.
This is just a hypothetical, basically, because maybe I had it happen once years ago when I did planning. I had a groomsman that maybe danced on his knees a lot during the reception and tore a hole in his pants on his knee
Yes.
because he had a great evening. So, what happens if the rental gets damaged?
So that's a great question because people have lots of fun and that we're so happy about that. If I always say, if these things could talk, they pay a damage waiver.
Okay.
Part of the charge, part of the rental is a damage waiver, and it's kind of like an insurance so that if there's any damage done unintentionally, they are not responsible to replace it. If someone walks by them and, sloshes red wine or they walk by a candle flame, hopefully that doesn't turn into something crazy, but then they're not responsible to replace it. Now, if they jump in a swimming pool or they are in a paintball battle, that is not part of the damage waiver.
So you're saying that's happened before?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So that damage waiver is already included in that rental price then? So
I do want to touch maybe more on the customs and how that process works.
Gary, we talked all about renting and buying it through Geno's. And as I mentioned, I did a podcast with Matt about Mack and Clay. But as we've talked about, you have merged the stores now since I did that podcast. Is there anything you would like to share? Any updates or anything about Mack and Clay and how they operate versus how you operate at Geno's?
People may wonder, like, what the relevance is, like why Mack and Clay and the merge with Geno's makes sense. And I could explain that we found when they were right next door to us, we needed a revolving door because sometimes Geno's didn't have the product that the groom was looking for, but Mack and Clay did. We would take him next door. Matt would fit him in a custom suit, and then he would bring them back over so we could get his guys ready. And the opposite. Sometimes they would show up over there and Matt didn't have what he was looking for, so he'd bring them over here. So it just is like, do we knock a hole in the wall or it just made sense for him to just move on in. That has opened up a whole new path for us because grooms, more so than we realized, they feel like they deserve something special like the bride's gown. When we get them in here and they're looking at the rentals and they're like, that's great for my guys. But what I have in mind is this. I'm like, come on over. And that's when we start pulling out some fabric books. That's been a new part of my job to learn. And I realized, wow, I think we were missing the boat. That category I think is really important in our elements here. We have sample items that we try on them to help them have an idea of how it's going to feel, but they get to pick the fabrics, they can pick stitching, they can pick buttons, they can do custom linings with their pictures. We did one really special one lately that I can't talk about because she hasn't seen it yet, but the groom had a really special inside made for her that he's going to introduce at the altar. It's going to be pretty awesome. I know. There's a lot of fun things. You can get Mr. and Mrs. embroidered on the inside. Their wedding date. Somebody is in the coming months getting married at a beautiful venue out in California, or I'm sorry, vineyard in California, and they put the name of the vineyard on the inside and the coordinates of the vineyard, which is really, people are getting really very clever. So it's a nice touch that we like to bring them in. And now that is something that we do like to do sometimes outside of business hours to where we try to close it off and make it a more intimate experience. So there's no interruptions and things like that. It's something that and I keep referencing weddings, but people are doing this for a trip to Keeneland or Churchill or attending an awards banquet.
Even if it's somebody that's, a senior in high school, like you're going to college. I had to dress up so much for presentations in college. As a female, you always want a new outfit for every presentation, but I'm sure they don't care that much. They can put a different tie and they have a whole different outfit. There is nothing I love seeing more than a guy in a well-dressed suit. I was sitting in the Starbucks whenever there was the Starbucks in City Center one day working. I was like, I need to come down here and work more often.
Yes.
I never get to see guys dressed up in suits other than like
there's
TV.
something to be said about this custom stuff because some people aren't off the rack people. They need so many things tweaked to make it feel right. And when he's put this on at pickup, it's my favorite. I love a reveal is what I call it. I unzip that garment bag and get to show him all the things that he picked that's all put together now. But once he gets it on, I don't care if he's what size he is, he feels like $1 million. And that makes me feel good.
Do brides normally come for those reveals or do they make them wait till the wedding?
Oh no, they are not going to miss it. See, somehow I tell them that rule does not apply.
Oh,
The groom doesn't get to see her. She definitely gets to see.
Carrie, starting to wrap this up, talking about the groom getting a custom suit, how do you match that up with groomsmen if they're doing rentals?
I love to get started with the groom first so we can pick all of the details of what he likes. And then we take him for a walk over to our rental options and we will match up lapels or shades. A lot of times we're just going to choose a coordinating color rather than trying to match it up. That way he stands out like he deserves.
Oh,
Like he deserves.
okay. Do you care if a bride brings in her swatches for bridesmaid dresses to match up stuff?
We love that.
Okay.
We love that. That helps us. We have an enormous selection of accessory options. And sometimes when you're looking, it's like peach and orange and persimmon and those types of colors all run the same. So and companies call things different colors. That just the swatch from this particular bridesmaids company holding it up to our tie selection is very helpful.
Carrie, I know that Geno's is always at Bridal Bliss Classic Bridal Shows. We'll have one at the end of January. What are your hours in the store?
Our store hours are Monday through Friday, 10 until 6, and Saturday, 10 until 5, or we are open by appointment outside of
Okay.
those store hours.
Instagram is gfatux.com. The website, I think, is also gfatux. Facebook is Geno's Formal Affair. Mary, thank you so much for chatting with me again today and sharing an update about Geno's. If you have not been in their stores, either location lately, definitely stop by. And even if you're just looking for men's attire for Christmas, Father's Day, birthdays, you have some incredible stuff. You've got some great UK stuff, belts, all of the things. I think that Mack and Clay has been a great addition to Lexington. I think it's something that we really needed.
Carrie, thank you again for joining me today to update everyone on everything that is going on at Geno's Formal Affair and Mack and Clay. We are just honestly so lucky to have your entire company based here in Lexington. For more information about Simply Love Studio or to schedule your wedding consultation, go to simplylovestudio.com.